For example 5, I'm asked to solve triangle XYZ. Solving means to know all three angles and the length of all three sides. And I'm noticing that I'm asked to know the side lengths to 1 decimal place and angle measures to the nearest degree. Now I know that all three angles in a triangle have to add up to 180 degrees. So angle X plus angle Y plus angle Z has to be 180 degrees. I happen to know angle X is 90. I happen to know that angle Z is 17. I don't know what angle Y is, but I know if I add those three together, I'm supposed to get 180 degrees. And so angle Y, whatever that angle is, plus 107 must be equal to 180. So if I subtract the 107, angle Y has to be equal to minus 107, which is 73 degrees. All right, so now I know angle Y. That's 73 degrees. Now I have some choices about which side I'm going to find next. And I know all three angles now, so I can use whichever one I'd like to use. I'm going to say that for the 17 degrees, 12.7 is the opposite side. And I'm going to start by trying to calculate the hypotenuse. So I think to myself, SOHCAHTOA, which one involves opposite and hypotenuse? Because it has the hypotenuse, it must be sine or cos, and because it has the opposite, that must be sine. The sine of 17 degrees must be equal to the opposite side, 12.7, divided by the hypotenuse. If I use my calculator to calculate the sine of 17, I get 0.2923. 2923 is 12.7 divided by the hypotenuse side. So whatever the length of the hypotenuse is, when I take 12.7 and divide it by that length, I have to get 0.29. So it has to be bigger than 12.7. I would say in the range of, like, I don't know, between 30 and 40 degrees. I'm taking a guess there. Actually a little bit bigger than that. That's almost a quarter. So it should be almost 4 times that size. So, like, I guess almost up to like 50 meters. To figure it out, I could say that the length of the hypotenuse is going to be equal to 12.7 divided by 0.2923. When the unknown part is in the denominator here, I can pull that little switch, and that works out mathematically. So all I need to do is go back to my calculator and go 12.7 divided by 0.2923, and I get 43.4 for the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is 43.4 meters. Now that I know the hypotenuse, I could use it in a calculation, or I could stick just with the stuff that I've been told. So if I stick with only the things I've been told in the question, I'm going to keep the 17 degrees, and now I need to find this side, XZ. That's adjacent to the 17 degrees. And 12.7 is still opposite. So I need a trig ratio that involves opposite and adjacent now. That would be tan. The tan of 17 is equal to the opposite side, so 12.7 divided by, and in this case is going to be the adjacent side. Okay, so I can figure out tan of 17 on my calculator. That is 0.3057. And 12.7 divided by something has to give me 0.3057. going to say that's got to be awfully close to what the hypotenuse was, because those two numbers are very similar. So I should be looking for something that's about the same, but of course it's shorter than the hypotenuse because it's not the longest side of the triangle. So I'm looking for something around the 40-meter mark as my answer. Again, when I'm looking for an unknown value that's on the denominator of a fraction, and I have a setup like this, I can simply go, the adjacent side is equal to 12.7 divided by 0.3057. I can kind of switch the place of those two to make my question slightly easier to calculate my unknown. So 12.7 divided by 0.3057. On my calculator, I get 41.5. Actually, on my calculator, I get 41.543999738, but I'm rounding that off to the nearest one decimal place. So I'm just going to round that off to 41.5. And that's my triangle solved, because now I know the angle, 73 degrees. The adjacent side is 41.5 meters. The hypotenuse side is 43.4 meters. I know the length of all three sides, and I know all three angles.